Welcome back to Board Now, a Buffy the Vampire Slayer podcast hosted by me, the final girl. And today we are deep diving into one of my favorite episodes, Out of Mind, Out of Sight. And I can't wait to share with you who is on our show today. You may know her from her amazing edits on TikTok, or if you're cool enough to catch her Buffy trivias on Tuesday nights, then you're a part of that squad. But now she also is working on the Buffy documentary that we're producing. She is our social media and communications manager. So anytime you're talking to the Buffy doc, you're actually talking to her. And so please welcome to the show my friend Val the Buffy Gal. Thank you so much for coming on. I'm so excited to have you here.
I'm so excited too, and I'm obsessed with this episode. It's one of my favorites of season 1, but also of the series, I think.
Really, I was going to ask you like where it ranked for you.
Yeah, I love the theme, and I'm a huge Clea Duvall fan. So
Me
I think
too.
all her late 90s movies, The Faculty, but I'm a cheerleader, so yeah, this ranks higher for me. I love this episode.
I'm so excited that we're going to talk about this, but like, I want to know something. I don't know if I've ever really asked you this before, but like, what's your Buffy story? Like, how did you come to Buffy?
I think I was just the right age at the right time. I turned 13 in March of the when it premiered. So I was like literally like a new teenager, already watching the WB, I guess for Seventh Heaven and what other shows had already started, looking for teen content. And I had seen the Buffy the Vampire Slayer movie. Um, I liked it, and I'm just like, oh, what's this? Like, and it just right away, it was like, "Ooh, like, I love her outfit, and that one, and this is creepy." Like, it just drew me in. I think it anything a young teenager was looking for. These high school kids a little bit older than me, and then all, like, the magic and the spooky stuff, it drew you right in.
Why do you think it stuck for you for so many years? Like, why is this the series that can I say, like, is this your favorite series of all time? It feels like it is.
But I think the only thing that might come close to it is The Sopranos, but there's different, that it's hard to even compare them, if that makes sense. The but I don't talk about The Sopranos 7 days a week. I talk about Buffy 7 it's like it's my favorite one. There's a few shows that I rewatch, as most people do, comfort shows. This is the only one that you can get to different stages of life, and you'll take different things from it that you maybe didn't see when you were younger. And it doesn't matter if you've seen an episode 20 times. If you're at a new phase in life, something else is gonna jump out at you, and I went through a really hard time in my 30s with a chronic illness, had trouble getting it diagnosed, and when I needed help to kinda climb out of depression, once the illness was under control, I was rewatching Buffy, and the later seasons, it was almost like I was seeing them through new eyes, and that actually inspired me to make the TikTok.
I agree. I always say Buffy meets you where you're at in your life. And like the fact that like in your 30s, like it became your comfort show again when like it was your show when you were like 13, you know? I love that so much. Is there a season that like now that you're older when you rewatch that hits you so different than it did back in the initial run?
Definitely. I think growing up, season 3 was always my favorite because I feel like high school shows, the senior year seasons usually turn out pretty well. But now that I'm older, all the way season 5 is my favorite season. I just think besides it being really cohesive and well written, there's so many themes within it that as an adult get close to my heart that maybe I didn't appreciate as much back then.
You know, I feel like, and this isn't meant to be a slight towards anything or anyone, so please know that that's not what I'm trying to say when I say this. But I think that season 5 is the mature season. I think that when you reach a certain level of maturity in your life, you appreciate it so different. I was the same thing. Season 2 and 3, I would say, were very equally tied for my favorite seasons. Season 2 has a lot of my favorite episodes in it, but season 3 was just like phenomenal, right? And so I loved it, and I never really appreciated or understood season 5 until I was older, until I was in my 30s. And then I'd say now that I'm 30, um, I really, really appreciate season 5. I just look at it for everything that Buffy has to go through and that she has to, like, foster and carry, and with Joyce. There's just so much that's like so relatable about it. And I'm currently, I don't know if it will be. I've literally said this to everybody because I think that like I'm not sure, but who knows when this airs? It still might be. I still might be talking about season 5. It's taking me that long to film all of it, but I'm currently deep diving season 5, and I think that's why it's taking me so long, is because I'm enjoying it with like a fresh 40-year-old's eyes. I'm enjoying it with like our age because we can see that. And Joyce was our age, looking at it like that way. She was in her early 40s. And it's just wild. I love that you love season 5 too. A lot of fans aren't like the biggest fans of season 1. A lot of them feel like it's very monster of the week, but where does it fall for you?
I think when I'm ranking them overall, I think it's definitely, it falls more towards the latter end. I'm trying to think. My exact ranking, I think, changes all the time. It's not in the top 3, but I have a love for it that some people do not. Like, I will never put it last because I really like camp, and I'm okay that it's a little bit different than the other seasons. It's almost like the early days of Buffy. Like, it's like a little foundation that needed to happen before, like, it became what it would be, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, it's what's wild is I ranked 4 last, and in my recent rewatch, 4 I feel like has been climbing up, and I feel like 4 has topped 1, and I think it's because I never really watched season 1 to deep dive it. And so now that I'm watching it for the podcast and I'm deep diving it, I just am really remembering, like, it was good from the start. Like, it really was such a phenomenal show. And a lot of times when we're like, "Oh, it's the monster of the week season," I feel like we're doing it such a disservice. And I made a note in here talking about how, you know, we thought it was very monster of the week, but, like, really there was a storyline in the background that was happening. We had Colin, the anointed one, and the prophecy coming up, and so there was this arc that was kind of building, and I think that we tend to forget that it's only 12 episodes, so it's like, how much could they really do in 12 episodes, you know? They had to show and set it up, the history of the town. They're showing you that there can be witches and robot monsters and praying mantis teachers and hyenas, and they're showing you all of that stuff because it's like that's what the thesis of the series is gonna be. Let
Right.
you give us another season and we'll show you what we can really do, and that's what they did.
And I think also too, even on the Monster of the Week episodes, I think there is hidden meaning within a lot of them that maybe when we were 13, 15, we didn't see that, but you can see it now when you sit down and try to analyze something. And then like you said, besides Colin, Angel's story was kind of like an arc throughout the season. Like we didn't know he was a vampire from day one. Took us few episodes to find out. Yeah. So yeah, people don't always give it the credit that it deserves.
I'm so excited to talk to you about this episode, Out of Mind, Out of Sight. I know that it's like one of your faves, it's one of my faves. But like, did you know that initially season 2 was gonna be the initiative season and not season 4? Did you know this?
No, I did not know this.
Oh, I love this. I love revealing stuff like this. So basically, season 2, the original storyline was going to be something along the lines of the initiative. But I think what happened is Angel came along and they realized the chemistry between Buffy and Angel. So they built that season around their love story and they pushed the initiative to season 4. And so this episode is actually like the first real appearance of the initiative. And I love that, like, Marci in the end, we'll get to it. We're about to deep dive the episode, but I love in the end that, like, she's at the initiative and, like, she's learning and the government is all involved. And so to me, I'm so glad how it played out, but I so wish that in season 4 they would have referenced Marci.
I'm always saying that, like, they missed a huge opportunity. Why did they not have at least even one episode? If they couldn't get Clea Duvall because she was probably doing movies, make someone else an invisible young adult. Like, I just don't understand why they didn't. It was so good. Like, it could have had its own spin-off show, let alone, yeah, at least bring it back for the initiative. It would have made the initiative more interesting to me personally, because I'm not the biggest fan of that plot. Maggie Walsh and me don't exactly get along.
Wait, so, like, you're not a fan of, like, the Maggie Walsh plotline?
No. You know, like, when, like, Riley's a little bit rude to Buffy, almost saying she's happy that Maggie Walsh died and Buffy's not. I am, because once you try to kill Buffy in a sewer, you're not getting back on my good list. Like,
I agree. I'm in total agreement with this.
Like, usually I'm not so mean about the human deaths, but I'm like, you know what? I can't stand the woman. I'm like, I'm glad she's gone.
That's so funny. But, like, think how funny it would have been even they didn't even have to, like, do a whole episode, but just some acknowledgement. Like, they could have had an empty demon cage or something, and they could have been like, "Oh, yeah, that's one of our invisible people. We have our senior associate, Marci, working with them." Like, even a throwaway line for the fandom, I feel like they should have done.
Because the show, compared to most, has so many callbacks. It's like, right, they really miss an opportunity because like, they do it for everything else almost, stuff that's, like, less interesting than this. So, yeah, I don't know why they decided not to, but, I wish that they did.
All right, we're about to jump into the episode. We're going to deep dive. I'm going to read the synopsis and then we're going to discuss our thoughts on it. Sunnydale High's most overlooked student isn't just invisible, she's furious. Marcy's been ghosting everyone, but now she's taking revenge, and Buffy has to step in before she erases the whole school. So I love that you touched on Clea Duvall earlier because, like, to me, her acting in this is so good. Like, even though she isn't like physically in it a whole lot, the scenes that she is in, like, you see her vulnerability. You see the sadness in her. I love her so much. I feel like she's like a 90s icon. And like out of all the characters in Buffy, I would say Jonathan and Marcy are the two that I have related to the most. And like even Clea herself, like to me, if you were to take, like, a picture of me at that time, I would look like Clea's little sister. Like, I had the same haircut, I dressed the same, our voices kind of have that similar tonnage about it. I when I saw her for the first time I saw her on this show, I was like, "Oh my god." I was living this hell. So I was like, "Oh my god, I relate so much to this character." I know that, like, you love this episode, but, like, Marcy, like, what do you feel about her?
So, during my rewatch, I was realizing that 13-year-old me, I think related to Marcy more than I would have liked to admit at the time. Because I had I didn't have a glow up till I was 15, so I had braces and glasses, and my same asked out by boys, and I was not because they did not like the braces and the glasses, and I think there was moments where, like, in my mind, I so badly wanted to look like a Buffy or a Cordelia, but I think there was so many times where I would have loved to go invisible like Marcy because just to get out of embarrassing situations, and that makes her relatable. Like, I wouldn't have gone homicidal like her, but just the fact that sometimes it could be so awkward to be a teenager that you wish you could just go invisible for a little bit, you know?
And rewatching this episode, there were points where it was kind of, like, hard. This first season to me is hard because a lot of the episodes deal with bullying, and I know it's around, like, school and stuff like that, and it's all of that, but really a lot of the episodes are, like, heavy in the bullying thing, and that kind of gets to, like, a couple of the topics that, like, I wanted to, like, talk about is, like, the first things I wanna address, like, right away before we deep dive this episode is that, like, I feel like the series gives every character their spotlight episode each season, and to me, like, this feels like Cordelia's. Like, this is the Cordelia episode in season 1, and I feel like by doing this, they're showing that, like, we're starting to see the humanity side of her. I feel like this is her shedding her uber, like, mean girl vibes in this episode because even though, like, it's showing some of her worst on in this episode. I feel like it's comparing it to how she is now, and we're gonna see this evolution of her because of what's gonna come in Prophecy Girl, and then after that in season 2, how she's like a full-fledged Scooby and stuff like that. I feel like this is the episode where we really see that.
Yeah, and she admits in the episode to the whole time we've known her, we've just known this perfect looking, popular girl, head of the best clique in school. And when she's alone with Buffy, she finally admits that sometimes even she feels lonely and misunderstood. So, like, to the audience, suddenly the prettiest, most popular girl is becoming a little bit more relatable.
I love that this episode is really truly the episode leading up to Prophecy Girl, and, like, I didn't realize this I until this deep dive, until rewatching it for this, that, like, the dance that they're talking about is the dance in the Prophecy Girl. Like, they're preparing for it, and so now Cordelia is going to be the May Queen. She, has her coronation, and then in the next episode is the actual dance, and I never realized that until this one, but, like, what else hit me when they were talking about the dances is that, like, this is the dance in Prophecy Girl, which is prom, but it's like, how are they going to prom? Because they're sophomores. Like, to me, like, it was always juniors and seniors that were going to prom. And then they referenced the prom from the last year. So when she was a freshman, she was, nominated. She was May Queen at prom being a freshman. It just doesn't make sense to me. And I just thought it was so funny. And I just wanted to point it out because it's like, I don't know.
They probably should use the word formal maybe, but, I think you know how in the first season they look at Buffy's records and it's the wrong birth date and stuff? I don't think, the creators really decided what grade they were in right away. I think there's some little mistakes here and there in season 1.
So do they, like, they Boy Meets World it, except for instead of accelerating it, they decelerated, they made Buffy younger.
Yeah, well, that was a big thing with Beverly Hills 90210. They were in junior year twice because they didn't know the show was gonna be such a hit, and they're like, "Oh, no, I can't make them just be seniors right now." They junior year and never addressed it.
That's hilarious.
Some people it's really funny, and that's why some people are bent out of shape about Buffy having the one birthday and then it changing. I'm like, "Oh, go not Beverly Hills 90210." They just, a whole year and took
And, like, I know it changed 3 times in this season. Originally, like, she was, 18, then she was 17, and then they finally nailed it on her being 16. Like, by the time this end of the series season came, she was, like, 16 years old because of that Prophecy Girl. But I do know that, like, there's, like, a shot of it, like, on her records, like, where it shows her birthday is, like, 1980, and then there's on the computer, I think it says 1979. And then finally, like, it's addressed that she was born in 81. Going back to Cordelia, like, talking about, like, her and, like, how she's, like, shedding everything. That opening scene with Buffy, I feel like she's such a bitch. Like, I feel like it just, like, not even a bully. I feel like it's just a very pointed thing at Buffy and how she treats Buffy in that scene, and it, like, spills over into class. But what I love about it is, like, yes, she's got this bitchy attitude and all that stuff like that, and she's the queen bee is what we call her, and that's why we call her the queen bee because she's the queen bitch, and I love it, and I love that Charisma is taking back ownership of it. I love it so much. But what I also love is that they established from the beginning that Cordelia's smart. Like, in this episode, it is clear as day that she cares about her schoolwork, that she cares about these things. And so, like, even like when she gets her SAT scores in season 3, or she gets into all those colleges and people are like shocked by it, it's like even the fandom gets like shocked by it. But it's like, how can you be shocked by it? They are establishing in this episode she is smart.
She does the homework. She might have her own unique take on the homework, but you could tell she's done the reading. She wants to be in the discussion. She's there for it. She's not just there to twirl her hair like Harmony.
Right. She's definitely not a Harmony. She's I love when the teacher says to her, "It's so good to see that someone did the reading," and Willow is, like, behind her, and she's, like, rolling her eyes, and she's like, "Ugh." But it's like, yeah, but it's like, Willow, she's not a genius Einstein level like you, but, like, she's still smart. She's still doing it. She's still active. She still cares about her grade enough to meet the teacher to, like, go and study with her. Instead, she could just blow it off and be like, "But I'm a cheerleader," and be like, go and do her own thing. But instead, she really does care about school.
And the actress who plays the teacher, Denise Dowse, she plays the principal on several seasons of Beverly Hills 90210. I love finding crossovers among teen shows.
I
We
just
took
recently started rewatching 90210, and I don't like that's why she looks so familiar to me. I'm like, I was watching this and I was like, it can't just be from here. It can't just be from Buffy. She looks so familiar to me. That would be why. In the first person who Marci attacks is Mitch, Cordelia's boy toy, and he gets hit with a baseball bat. And I'm not saying that he deserved it, but I'm saying he deserved it. It wasn't in this rewatch, but why did I remember before he got attacked, when he heard the girl's voice, why do I remember him saying, "Don't be shy, you can come out"? Like, was that cut out of the Disney I watched it on Hulu, and I almost wanna, like, grab my DVDs from up there to see. But I feel like he made a comment, and it never came out. when, like, I was rewatching it, like, I think I watched it last night, and I was like, "Where's that comment?" And I remember Mitch saying this and being super skeevy about it.
It sounds like something he would do. Yeah, I don't know. I can't remember. Even though I just rewatched it, I don't remember. That
He's like, "It's not Cordelia's dress or something I'm trying to" he made, like, a offhanded comment about Cordelia too, about, like, doing stuff with her, but, like, I don't think Cordelia is that type of girl. I think she is all kiss and, like, no, nothing. I think she's that girl who's, like, she's just popular and people assume she's, like, a hoe or something, you know?
when Xander loses it to Faith, him and Cordelia have already dated by then, so if Cordelia was doing that with people, she would have done it with the long-term boyfriend. So if anything, I
Right.
think that a lot of times there are popular girls like that. They want everyone to think, "Oh, yeah, I've done everything." It doesn't but really they value themselves too much to just give it away to the first person that comes along, which is a good thing.
It's such a good point about her and Xander too. Like, I think that she would have felt comfortable and vulnerable enough to do that, with Xander. But I think when she saw Willow and all that stuff like that, it was like, oh, that's that. I can't wait to talk about season 3 because those episodes, I just my heart literally hurts for her because at that point, Cordelia is so evolved. She's so different from the first season of Buffy. And yeah, there are times that like she's snarky or she's sassy after this season. But this first season, it's been really hard for me to watch her because she's my favorite character. And I forgot how mean she is in this first season. But I love that we get this evolution of her in this episode. I think that she's hilarious. I think that, there's a lot of vulnerability in her when she's having those conversations with Buffy. And that library scene with her is so funny. But to me, somebody else who is really funny and so good is Snyder. Like, I forgot how good he is. Like, he is the character we love to hate. And he plays that role so well.
He has really good comedic timing, really good delivery. It just when Willow pretends that Mitch's father is called the Beast, school's gonna get sued, he's just so funny.
This is what's really weird too, and I think this is just me getting older, and if it's a realization that I had and that I feel like I'm old, but I was like, Armin's kinda cute. I was like in these, like, older episodes, because I forgot that he came in the first season. I thought for some reason in my mind, I didn't remember him coming in the first season. It was more of a second season thing because of how heavy he is in the plot there. But I was like, "He's cute." I was like, "He's a cute guy. He's good looking."
It was funny because I was making a joke, I think in a video that when I turned 30, I started to think Giles was sexy,
Yeah.
and then when I turned 40, I started to think Ethan Rain was sexy.
Oh.
Now even though it's 10 years away still almost, I'm scared what's gonna happen when I turn 50. I'm like, I get a crush on, like, the master. Maybe that will be my next crush. Maybe Spider will be my crush when I'm 50, I don't know.
I I feel you on the Ethan Rain. But let me tell you, as a kid, even as a kid, I had a crush on Ethan Rain. Anytime he would come on, I would be like, "Oh my god." Like, I just loved him. He is somebody who I wish we would have seen more of. Not just because I think he's cute, but I think because his story is so fun, you know?
He was such a good actor, and his character and Giles, they just mesh so well together too. The chemistry between them is great, I love it.
You really feel like they are old friends, like they are old buddies. So as the ep goes on, people around Cordelia are being attacked, and she comes to Buffy for help.
Buffy, I know we've had our differences with you being so weird and all and hanging out with these total losers. Oh, well, anyway, despite all of that, I know that you share this feeling that we have for each other deep down.
Nausea?
Somebody is after me. They just tried to kill Mrs. Miller. She was helping me with my homework. And Mitch and Harmony. This is all about me. Me.
Wow, for once she's right.
So you've come to me for help.
Because you're always around when all this weird stuff is happening. And I know you're very strong. And you've got all those weapons. I was kind of hoping you were in a gang.
Buffy and the Scoobies then come to a conclusion that a girl can turn herself invisible. But when they split off, we see Buffy grieving her former life. And I think a lot of this episode shows the duality of like the comedy and the sadness really well. So when Cordelia comes in the library and she's like, "It's me. Everyone, it's me." But then it goes back to Buffy, like, before that scene. When she's, like, talking with Giles, like, we're seeing this side of her that is, like, longing for sort of a connection because Xander and Willow are, like, inadvertently throwing it in their face, like, the history that they have.
So I actually made a note. It upsets me so much at the lockers early in the episode where they're talking about like that inside joke from a field trip and Buffy's just standing there clueless and they don't care and they just keep cackling. It kind of reminds me throughout the series, even though they're all friends, Willow and Xander never stop having each other's back 100%. Willow loves Buffy and Xander, I feel different ways about him, but him and Willow, they're each other's ride or die friends.
I agree. I so agree. I think that they're each other's person. You know how like you have your person, they're each other's person. And I think that plays into the dichotomy of a slayer, right? Like she's alone. She walks this life alone. And even though she has her Scoobies, even though she has her friends, even though she has these core people, she's still alone. She's still even alone in her friendships. She doesn't have that history with them. It's gonna be so interesting to see in the revival series where her friendships are because we're watching it now and her friendships are relatively, a few months old because that's what this is. Like it's in the timeline of things, it's crazy. Like Buffy came in like the middle of the year and it's literally just been a couple of months that she's building this friendship with them. So to see where it's gonna be at like 30 years later, I'm so interested in that.
It will be interesting too to see with the new Slayer. Now that there's multiple Slayers in the world, does she not face that same loneliness? I'm sure she faces many other things, but does she have a different experience growing up than Buffy because she's not the only one? Or does maybe she still feel alone because even though she's not the only Slayer, she might be the only Slayer in her school, her town, or wherever, you know?
I wonder what they're gonna do in regards to that storyline, like how every Slayer is activated, or do you think they're gonna just kind of ignore it? Like, do you think they'll retcon it?
So I heard some people saying they're gonna retcon it, but I don't know if we should retcon it because when you know what it is, Buffy's kind of like it's a feminist show, but at the same time, she's fighting the patriarchy the entire time, and she only really becomes liberated at the end by making there be a lot of slayers because that's what makes sense for people and women and not just rules that some men made a million years ago. So if we take that moment away from her, we're kind of taking away that smile she has at the end of the series where everything seems possible in the world. So I kind of hope they keep the multiple slayers. We don't have to meet them all at once and we don't have to meet them all, but just we could know they're out there.
I love that so much. I am so in agreement with it. Cause like my take on it was like, I think that they should not retcon it either. I think that it should be that there are the multiple slayers. But I think what should happen is that like the energy is kind of run out, right? And so it's like for years there hasn't been a new slayer. It's like all of these other slayers are activated. They're all fighting and they're all across the country and world. They're all doing their thing. But, like, no new Slayer has been activated in years except for now.
Yeah, because you're right. So see, this girl is so young, this character, she wouldn't even have been born when
Right.
that happened. So you're right. Everyone on the earth at that moment that was meant to be a slayer was activated. But what happens to the ones that were going to be born in the future? No one said they were going to be born activated. See, we're working with something that maybe they're working with there.
We need to be in the writer's room. Like, get us in and get us on this show. We need to be consultants. I hope that they consulted with some fans.
Imagine we would die if they let us in for 5 seconds. We'd be like,
I would die. This is the episode where Giles says, "A vampire in love with a Slayer." It's rather poetic. And I love that this is also, to me, kind of like a reference to Spike.
my mind went there when I rewatch it now. I'm like, oh, that would make a good audio for some kind of edit with Spike. Like, I was like, That's where my mind goes.
So you need to do this. You need to make this edit with it. I went right there too. I was like, "Oh my God." Like I love that he's talking about Angel, but he doesn't even truly realize that like it's going to be Spike. To me that felt like you don't even know it's coming.
Besides all the things they purposely put in the show, I feel like there's a lot of accidental foreshadowing as well, and I'm there for it. Some people don't like accidental, but I'm good with it. I enjoy it.
The flashbacks in this episode with Marci to me are kind of so hard to watch. And I think it's because this is the episode that showed me it was one of my favorites in the series. It's because I was literally the same like as Marci at this time. Like I was literally while I was watching this convo that she was having where she was trying to like interject and have the conversation with the girls in these flashbacks and like they're just blatantly ignoring her. Like I was literally living that while it was airing. And I think that that episode was what solidified it for me. Like I loved it from the start. I loved, the Welcome to the Hellmouth and the Harvest. And I thought it was such a good show. But I think it's when we got to this episode as a kid, it made me realize like, okay, this is now another episode that they're talking about bullying. This is now another episode they're talking about this. And like, look at how Buffy treats it. Look at how Buffy is empathetic to it. And I really connected with this. But these flashbacks were so hard to watch.
Yeah, when you're older, it just seems so mean. But having lived through the 90s and 2000s, we know kids watching it today maybe don't realize we didn't have any policies about no bullying and all the stuff they have now. People really were that mean and even meaner sometimes. So, it is hard to watch because, like, we know now that we're older, that's not how you treat people. But I think unless you're someone very lucky with just very, I guess, good genes and everything goes your way, most of us have been bullied at some point. It is very hard to get from kindergarten to high school graduation without being bullied. So
I agree.
with high school being hell in the show, I think this is one of the most relatable situations because, like, there maybe is a creepy teacher like the praying mantis at some schools, but not every school. But this is something you can't escape. Everybody's been bullied at some point for the most part.
It's really sad what happened to Marci and how the Hellmouth like turned her invisible because she was made to feel invisible. Like I couldn't imagine going through everything that I was going through, or if you were going through everything you were going through, and like having it be on the Hellmouth. Like imagine how everything is just so like amplified. That scene where she's like raising her hand and the teacher's ignoring her and she just starts turning invisible. Like it's so sad.
She had it bad when even the teachers don't see you. That's a problem. Like I said, I was lucky I had friends and at least the teachers noticed me. Maybe the boys didn't notice me. Maybe the most popular girl in school didn't notice me, but the teacher noticed me and I was very lucky to have a few close friends at that age.
I had my cousin who I sometimes call my brother, and I had my two close girlfriends, Tina and Holly. And they loved Buffy the Vampire Slayer, but I was obsessed with Buffy the Vampire Slayer. And so we always felt like we were our own like little Scooby Squad. And I think, honest to God, think that had it not been for them, I probably wouldn't have survived middle school. It was brutal. And I see so much of that in this first season, even back with the episode The Pack early on when they're playing dodgeball and how just incredibly mean these characters are.
It does. It's very hard to explain to people who don't watch the show what genre the show really is because since we started the documentary, some of my friends that I've made in recent years, one of them she watched it growing up. She's a few years younger than us, but she's rewatching it for the first time in a while. And some other friends, they're like, I've never watched it, but hearing you talk about it, I want to watch it. So I used to tell them it's supernatural, it's a drama, it's a comedy, it's like almost every genre of show. Like it's hard to put like it just is Buffy. Like there's not
Yeah.
it's hard to label the show because some people think it's very silly just based on the name. Like people who gave it no chance, but it's like no, they don't know. When I tell people there's college courses about it, they're like, seriously? Maybe I should be watching it. I'm like, yes, you should. It's just
Yeah.
you shouldn't need no college course. Just listen to me.
Let you be the instructor. Like it is. It's hard because it's a TV show named Buffy the Vampire Slayer. So already Buffy sounds comical, right? And that's kind of the point. and then it's a vampire slayer. And so you don't think that it really is this, but it is. It was groundbreaking television. It was something that completely shaped the landscape of teen TV. I love what Charles says from a Girl Guy in a Buffy podcast about how like it showed that you could write for young people without degrading and devaluing young people.
I definitely the writing on this show compared to what came before, for the most part, is just so smart. There's a few exceptions here and there, like My So-Called Life had really good writing. It
Yes.
pulled after just a few episodes, but yet this and Dawson's Creek, I feel were like the first two that really said these are not kids, they're teenagers. They're living a little bit more mature life than maybe what their parents would like to admit. We need to write for that. We need to write what they can relate to. We can't there should be watered down shows for younger kids, but teenagers, it's good to make it relatable to what they're really going through and not water it down.
And I feel like, and this is not a slight towards 90210 because I love 90210 too. But like I feel like that was for obviously a different generation. Like that teen years, even though they touched on some serious topics, it was very soapy. It was very lighthearted. It was still very um I mean, it was California, but it was still very marketed towards middle America where they can't touch on certain things at the time. And it's like Brandon, like it's like that type of like energy as to where like this, I feel like it shifted teen TV. And I also feel like Party of Five did that too, but I don't think Party of Five got as much recognition in those early seasons.
Party of Five is something that just doesn't get the credit even today that it deserves. Like, it doesn't have the size fandom that we have here or that Dawson's Creek has, but it deserves it. It was a great show.
It was. During COVID, my husband and I rewatched it. He had never seen it before, but it was like one of my favorite shows growing up. And that's how I knew about like Nev Campbell being in Scream was because I was a big fan of Party of Five and The Craft. And so we rewatched it during COVID, and it was the first time I'd ever watched it from start till end as an adult. And it is such a good series. And I feel like shows like that and shows like Buffy and Dawson, I was a big fan of Dawson's Creek too. And so I really related to the character of Dawson. He loved making movies and all that stuff like that. And I was like, oh, I like that. And I like the character of Jen. I very much wanted to be like Jen. I felt like she was the bad seed, and I always wanted to be the bad seed. Um, but I feel like they just were done like really smart. And one of the things with Buffy, I think, is that like the big thing is acceptance and how everybody just kind of like accepts people for who they are. And even Cordelia, like I think one of the coolest moments in this episode is the fact that like they tell Cordelia it's an invisible girl attacking her, and she's like, okay, and what are we gonna do about it? Like there's no like, oh my God, we have vampires, we have blah, blah. I think that just her instant acceptance of it and her instant of trust in Buffy and them is just, it's done so well.
And you could tell, I might be skipping ahead with this comment, but after they've helped her, Mitch catches her talking to them. She's intrigued. She wants to be with them a little bit. She wants to know more about them. She's just, it's hard in high school to go against the crowd. She's not ready quite yet, but she's intrigued, and I think she's genuinely grateful for what Buffy did for her.
Yeah, and I think it's like it definitely is a precursor to like what's to come with her. And I feel like we saw that little glimmer of hope in this episode. I love Cordelia, and I love her like vulnerability shift in this. When she says that line, I could be surrounded by people and feel completely alone, hit me so hard because in my 20s, I used to say this line all the time. And I think I even wrote it in my memoir. And I didn't even realize that this is probably where I heard it from. But I really like related to that. Like I was not popular in middle school or anything like that, but in my early 20s, I was kind of popular in the Chicago like social scene. And it got to a point where like I didn't realize like who was there to be my friend or who was just there to say that they were there. And when Cordelia kind of like mirrors this, I just was like, oh, I love her. Like she's so layered. She's not just this popular girl. Even though she tells you why she is popular. She tells you, isn't it better? And when Buffy says to her, well, then why do you do it? And she goes, isn't it better to be alone, surrounded by people than to be all alone? Like she's saying it to Buffy because I think that she like recognizes in Buffy that she sees that, you know?
It's funny, my story is kinda similar. So, in high school, I was more popular than in up to 8th grade, but still wasn't, like, the popular clique. I guess whatever would be, like, the B-list clique maybe. But finally in college, I really came into my own, was getting into all these nightclubs, everyone wanted to be around me. It's like I finally felt like, "Oh, this is, like, what it's like when you're at the top." And with that, I started hiding a lot of my geekish habits.
Me too.
And at one point, it's like you said, I felt so alone at times, even though I was having fun and stuff, but sometimes it's like, who really even knows me?
So when you were, like, going through this at that time, because like, it was the same thing for me. Like, everybody like, my friends now were like, "When we first met you, you were like a party girl. You were a club girl. You were, like, always getting your photo taken and wearing and I was like, in my head, I was like, "Yeah, I'm dying because these people don't know anything about me." Like, I'm a huge Freddy Krueger fan. I'm a nerd. I'm a film buff. I love to geek out over Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and it's like, I felt like when surrounded by all those people that, like, you're alone. Like, so inside of you, were you like dying to like be like, I'm a nerd. I like this. I like that. Like, how were you feeling?
Yeah, no, I think it became to a point where each year I got into my 18 and then into my 20s, like, I hit it more and more. Right at one point, I think I was ready to burst out. Like, I don't think I even knew who I was anymore. And everything I went through with my in my 30s with my health really sucked. But the good thing is I know who I've been through a lot of therapy and other things because of that since. I know who I am now, and I like it, and the people who meet me, you get all of me. You get the geekish parts, the little bit of coolness that there is. I'm a pretty fashionable person. I have a lot of different sides. I'm like Cordelia, I have layers, so whoever meets me gets the real me, the whole package from geek to fashionista and everything in between. So, yeah, when you can just be yourself, that's when it's the best, but I think a lot of people, around that college age, like, you're trying to, like, to discover, like, am I somebody else? Like, what can I be? But sometimes the core of who you are is already there.
It's an authenticness that you feel like now. And it's that security in you. I too have been in therapy for a very long time. And it was in therapy that really helped me realize that, like, I love myself. And it's okay to say that. It's okay to say that you love yourself and you love all parts of yourself. And it's okay to be a nerd and still be a cool girl and still be fashionable and still, get dressed up and go out for the night. But then when you come home, you throw your hair up in a messy bun and you watch your favorite TV show, Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Exactly, like, nobody has to fit in any sort of box, you know? It
Right.
just be yourself.
So listen, even though we relate to Marcy, and we would never do what she does ever, but I will say I've thought about it. I will say there were definitely times as a kid I thought about it, but I would never, ever, ever do that ever. But she holds Cordelia and Buffy captive. And Buffy escapes only to do her best Rick Johnson impersonation from Nightmare on Elm Street 4, which I think is hilarious. I think when Buffy is getting her ass whooped, to me, is like one of the funniest things in this. I don't know why it's so funny. And then she tells Cordelia, shut up. And Cordelia's like, okay. It's such a funny moment that leads into, to me, like, one of the most beautiful shots in the entire series. I love the moments with Buffy where it's this quiet reflection of her, or the shot, like, to me, one of my favorite shots of her is in season 5, The Real Me, when it opens and she's doing the handstand and Giles is like, "Just breathe," and the crystals and all that stuff like that, and this scene in this episode is kind of reminiscent of that, where Buffy gets quiet and she just has to listen for Marcy, and the visual of it is so stunningly beautiful. It's like, it's breathtaking to me.
It really is. When I noticed during this rewatch and on other rewatches in recent years, that moment as a teen, like, went right over my head, but now it, like, gives you chills, like, oh, I love it. It's such a great.
The lighting, the music, everything about it. And it also, like, taps into something about Buffy that, like, we don't really talk a whole lot about her other Slayer abilities and her other gifts other than, like, beat 'em up and, like, slay vampires and save the world. But, like, this season, they really touch on, like, her prophetic dreams. This episode, I feel like, is a good thing that, like, it's, like, her Slayer sense, you know? I think that when she always says, "My Slayer sense is tingling," I think that it's kind of like it's this moment of her just stopping and being so self-aware of everything that's around her.
I think a lot of times when you first start watching this show, you think, "Oh, she's just super strong. That's just what makes her different from everyone." But no, as we find out as the show goes on, Slayers have a whole lot more to them, and you could like, as we see in season 5, you can even hone those skills and get stronger at them.
And then the episode ends and Buffy senses Marci, she knocks her out, but the initiative comes in. And to me, like, it's clear they know who Buffy is. Like, if they're this government thing, this agency, and they're viewing her, like, they know who Buffy is. Cause even in season 4, when they're like, she's a myth, and she's like, you were a myth taken. I feel like this is why. I feel like this is the myth where they're like, "Okay, we've got confirmation a Slayer is real. Look at her, she stopped her." Because there's no question between the 2 of them, like, "You didn't witness this, blah, blah, blah." They're like, "We've got it handled."
And they're not like, "How did a high school girl just, like, stop this on her own?"
Right.
You know what I noticed during this rewatch that I know besides the ending scene, the Men in Black are there, like, towards the middle of the episode. They're actually there since almost the beginning, which I've never until now. Like, they're literally on campus almost a few minutes into the episode. I'm like, "Why was I never" it's like a blink and you miss it kinda moment. But, yeah, I don't know, it makes the episode a little more interesting.
I also what they say to Cordelia, they're like, "Does she hire private security?" I never caught that before, that's who it was that is out there watching.
Yeah, and that's, like, the second time there was even a scene of them before that. So, yeah, it's crazy the details that are there.
Oh my god, I gotta go back and rewatch it now. You're telling me that there's, like, they're in there again before that?
Yeah, before that line, earlier in the episode, they don't address them, just the camera pans past them. I think Willow and Buffy and Xander are walking outside, and there's, like, 2 of them near a tree, just, like, observing the school. So I never noticed that all these years. I was like, "Oh my goodness, they're in, like, since the beginning of the episode, they're here." That's
I
crazy.
just watched the episode, now I'm gonna have to go rewatch it for this, like, I'm learning so much. This is why I love having these conversations because it's like every fan catches something different or sees something different. So to me, I love this episode so much. I know you love this episode. And I think the only time the series calls back to it is in season 7 when Buffy is like at the school. Isn't there that moment? It's been a while since I watched season 7, but there's a moment where she sees someone.
Yes. Oh, yeah, she's at the school and, like, the Hellmouth is acting up, and almost everything that's ever happened in the school is, like, happening to individual kids. And I think, like, one girl, like, is it a girl? Or I know what you're talking about. There's somebody becomes slightly part of their body invisible temporarily. One
And then Buffy's like, "I see you. You're here. You're real. You're not." I'm like, I think that's why I love it because it's like at least it did get some sort of acknowledgement. But where I know that you love this episode, but like where would you say it ranks on like out of all of the episodes, not just for season 1?
I would definitely say for me, it's in my top 20. It's one that, I rewatch a lot. Like I said, relate to the theme when I was younger, and then also, you know what I felt about it on this rewatch and another recent one? With COVID and everyone being so isolated during that time, I think so many people, even as adults, can relate more than ever to just feeling invisible and wanting to be seen, and you're like, nobody's seeing you. And I think that's why there's people that went on social media and started doing crazy challenges and everything else, because everyone started feeling like a Marcy, invisible and just desperate to be seen by others, accepted, interact with others. So as time goes on, like I said, the show will meet you places, even at a place we never thought we were going to have a quarantine, but yet the show finds a way to make it relatable.
You can't see you because you're listening. You can't see me, but the entire time my head is like shaking, and I'm like, yes, yes, yes. I so agree. I think that's why the show still lasts today. Is because even though it's like dated sometimes, or some of the technology is dated, or some of the stuff, like it's not the best. Like there's some things that will be addressed when those episodes hit that I feel like, Buffy could have been better about. And a lot of stuff I feel like is for the time. And yes, we excuse it. But in general, as a whole, I feel like that's why it's still so popular today, is because it's all done through metaphor. So you can relate to it, and you can relate to it at any point in your life. The first 3 seasons, people that are in high school now can relate to it. But then those of us who were in high school 20 something years ago, like we relate to it, because it's like it's that time. It's just, it really is like a timeless television show. I love it.
I think too, like when something at its core is something that's gonna always be a problem in humanity, it's just gonna evolve, that will always be relatable. And maybe supernatural shows in general just do it a little bit better because the Twilight Zone, as dated as that is, and some of the things are just completely inappropriate, some of the themes in it, though, still resonate very much today because at its
Yes.
core, these problems are still going on, they've just evolved.
Did on this rewatch for this episode, everything that we talked about, because now that the episode is over, was there anything that like we missed in that? Like, was there anything that like you saw that like we didn't bring up, or anything that stood out for you?
I've been noticing in like the older seasons, including this episode, I'm surprised by some of the language sometimes. Like they had somebody called, I think Marci calls one of them a slut, maybe Harmony, or like I just for some reason I feel like on the WB that shouldn't have been allowed. But there's also the episode where Willow says 1-800 I'm dating a skanky hoe about Cordelia. Like, it's not those dirty words you can't say on TV. I guess I'm kind of surprised it made it into the show. Like,
Yeah.
I about it sometimes, but, but just like you said, the times have changed. That's how people I think we overused the word slut a lot back then.
Yeah.
Especially young people. It was just like an easy way to, like, make someone not feel good about themselves was just throwing that word out there. I like that girls today are more encouraged to support each other and not view each other as competition.
Yeah.
Maybe that we'll see some of that in the new show. That would be really cool.
I hope, because I always say like I always feel like there's room for everybody, and like you don't gotta to dim someone's shine to boost your own type thing. And so I am glad that like a lot of this younger generation feels that way too. They give me hope, you know? And I don't get too much into the generational thing, but I feel like Gen X and millennial, I feel like we have really gone through a lot of stuff, but I also feel like Gen Z and Gen Alpha are going through their own stuff that like we could never have imagined. And the way that they're processing things and the way that they're doing things, like they give me hope. They give me hope that they're gonna be the generation that finally is like, we're not gonna put up with this shit. We're the Buffys of the world. We're gonna do this.
Yeah, I feel like for our generation, we're maybe the last raised a certain way. And then as especially because like, not Buffy was ahead of its time, but a lot of, like, other TV shows, like sitcoms, those producers were of a much older generation, putting certain things on the air that maybe was their belief, but not everybody else's. So,
Right.
we were raised a certain way to think, "Oh, this is this." But as we got older, we're like, "You know what? No, like, I don't think that is right. I think I feel differently than that." But whereas these people today, I guess Gen Z and younger, from the time they're kids, they're questioning things. You know what I mean? They wanna
Yeah.
have compassion for different people. They wanna question things. They don't just go along with what adults are saying or what narrative the TV is saying. So, yeah, I think that is pretty cool.
I think that they're going against the grain. And I have a sister who's Gen Z, and I have a couple nieces and nephews who are like Gen Alpha, and just really seeing them and their view and stuff on the world is just it's so great. So I have to ask you a question, because I ask this of all my guests, but I want to know, what is your Buffy hot take or season 1 hot take? You can choose.
I don't even know if this is a hot take at this point because I think it is disgusting that Xander remembers everything in the pack and is not expected to apologize. But then everyone wants to run their mouth about some other essay episodes, but it's okay that Xander did that, knows he did it, and doesn't and Giles kind of condones it. Because Giles
Yes.
knows that Xander remembers. So this is like these two men knowing what he almost did to Buffy, and are like, "Oh, we're just gonna let it go. We'll pretend you don't remember what you almost did to Buffy." Like, you know?
Yes. We talked about this on the pack episode when we did the pack, because I don't think this is a hot take. I don't think that's a hot take. I think the hot take of it is that like It's like, why do we not talk about this? Like, we talk about the other episode and the, oh no, the he who shall not be named episode. But like, we don't talk about this. And we don't talk about the fact that Giles condoned it. Your secret is safe with me.
Yes, it's like Giles took Xander's side in something. Oh, that's what it is. That it's a hot take. Is that why aren't more people angry about it? And yeah, like no one gets as up in arms as they do about a few other instances later on with Spike or with Tara and Willow and all those episodes. But yeah, just because it's like doesn't succeed. It's very gross that it remembers it and is not sorry about it.
It bums me out. It bummed me out so much watching that because I forgot that that even happened because I always skip the pack and Teacher's Pet. Those are the 2 episodes I never watch. I've seen them 100 times. I don't need to see them. I'm not a fan of them. And I forgot that that happened in that episode until I watched it on this rewatch, and it pissed me off to no end. So I agree with you. I don't know if that's a hot take, but I agree with you, and I think a lot of people are gonna agree with you, and I hope that it starts a conversation around it. I am such a big fan of your TikTok content. I love all your edits. I think they're so amazing. I love that you do Buffy trivia. I know that you've built like a community around Buffy trivia.
I feel like my trivia group, we're like a niche within a niche. A lot of my followers are like yours, a Buffy fan, and then a Buffy fan that has like a certain kind of humor. People tend to follow me because when I make edits, I go for I want to make people cry, laugh. Like there's a joke, I go for it all the way. But when you talk to me, I'm more reasonable. Like when I do a talking video, you know what I mean? Like I could maybe find positive things to say about Xander, but in the edit, I just throw him fully under the bus, get out that emotion, get everyone to laugh, you know? So it's just different sides of me, but some people get the humor and some don't. But the trivia group, we've actually turned Marci into a verb, and we've been using it that way for about 2 years now. So what happened was, the first year I started, when it got to October, there was a girl named Caitlin, and one day she was answering questions and I couldn't see her anymore, but most of the group could. But me and we couldn't figure it out. So we started saying, "Oh my God," like one of us just said out, like, "Oh, I'm the only one talking out loud." So I guess it was me. I said, "She's been Marcied." I said, "What am I gonna do now?" So the group is like helping her, like, and it was so weird. When November came, I could see her again. So we were like joking that like Marci came to haunt the chat, like all this stuff. But so now to this day, sometimes TikTok will, like, censor someone's answer or, like, says, like, their answer isn't showing up. Anytime something's invisible, we're like, "Oh, it's been Marcied." And then new people that join are like, "What's Marcied?" And we'll be like, "Oh, it's like when someone's invisible, you just call it Marcied." I'm like, "Even if someone ghosts you, like I said, you call it They're like, "I love that." So, yeah, we kinda made it into a verb on our own.
You should put that on merch, and you should put like "I've been Marcied" by Val the Buffy Gal. I love that so much. I was gonna say, like, I was gonna ask you about your trivia. I was gonna say, like, I love it. Like, how much fun are you having with the trivia and the community that you're building around it?
I love it. See, it's so much fun. I feel bad. There's some months, like this month, I'm probably only gonna get to do it once, and I like to do it at least twice. I write all my own questions, and I don't think the people who come every week know, but, like, in general, for just like, oh, I don't think people realize how long it takes me to do that sometimes. So it just sometimes, like, there's not enough hours in the day because I wanna make sure the people who've been playing a long time, I don't wanna, like, repeat the same exact questions on purpose. I'm sure, like, I rephrase certain things at certain times. I'm always coming up with different styles of questions to keep it fresh for those people, because I want new people to have fun, but I want the people that have been there for 2 years to keep having fun. So, yeah, it could be a lot of work, but it's so much fun, especially the night that we do it. It is a blast, and what I love about it is people have come to me after, sometimes publicly in the chat, but sometimes privately after, and just said, like, "I don't have a lot of friends," or "I don't have a lot of friends that like Buffy," or "I can't get out of the house a lot." And when I'm in your trivia, I just feel so accepted because my only 2 rules are you have to like Buffy and you have to be nice to other people. You can't be mean to people in the chat. I think I've thrown out 1 person in 2 years. So, yeah, I try to make a very welcoming community, and I'm glad that it makes people happy.
I have had so much fun with you coming on. Thank you so much for for being a part of this first season, for being a part of the Buffy doc, for being my friend, for just I'm so excited. I feel like I could talk to you forever. I definitely want you to come back on for season 2. I'm not sure what the format's going to be. This first season we're just deep diving season 1. But I definitely would love for you to come back on season 2. And why don't you let the Scooby Squad know where they can find you?
So, I am on TikTok, Val The Buffy Gal. That's my main platform, but, I do have an Instagram also that I'm trying to remember to put content on. So, yeah, but I'm Val The Buffy Gal on both. You can find me on TikTok or on Instagram, but on TikTok is where I'm most active, and on TikTok is where the trivia is if someone's interested in playing the trivia.
I know it's so hard to be active on Instagram. I'm not either. I'm trying to be. I think a lot of this might be on Instagram because it might be easy to like put it on there. But TikTok is just, it's my jam.
It just gets me, and the people on it get me.
Well, thank you so much, Val, for coming on. That is the end of our episode of Bored Now, Buffy the Vampire Slayer podcast hosted by me. And make sure that you guys are following us everywhere where you stream your podcasts. We're on Spotify, Apple, I think a few others. And the video will be on YouTube. And until next week is our season finale. I can't believe that we're already here at the end of season 1 of my first podcast. I'm so excited, and I can't wait for you guys to see who is going to be on Prophecy Girl. So until next time, make sure you have that notification bell struck, and make sure you're following me on my TikTok because that's where some of these clips are going to be airing, and we'll see you guys next week.